Anos Voldigord was an overpowered demon lord who got bored and isekai'd himself into the future. Unfortunately, his demon clan now became a sorry-ass cult of losers who have been brainwashed, so he must navigate his new life as a nobody, while also secretly battling the men who betrayed him in his past life. Several young people walked towards a Hogwarts knockoff named the Demon King Academy, where they were to undertake an entrance exam. In the background, an insane old man kept yelling the name Misha as a white-haired girl walked towards the school. However, the girl was knocked over by some royals, which caused her to stumble and lose hold of her invitation letter. Just then, a striking young man named Anos walked over and helped her pick up the card, as his parents also cheered him on in the background. They then walked to the entrance together, but were met by a punk named Zepes at the school gate, who mocked them for coming with their parents. He attempted to disgrace the pair by using his magic, but was easily dealt with by Anos with Misha. Later on, Anos and Zepes were paired up for a duel as the first part of their entrance exam. However, despite Zepes bragging about his fighting equipment, Anos easily turned him into a bloody mess without lifting a muscle. Still, Zepes insisted that they enter into a contract to see if Anos could make him surrender using force. As Zepes was saying he'd never surrender, Anos snapped his finger and the resulting force killed him. To everyone's surprise, Anos then resurrected Zepes, who sat on the floor in disbelief. Zepes still refused to concede, and this led to Anos killing and reviving him multiple times until he finally gave up. In the shadows, a mystery man watched the match in annoyance that Anos defied a royal. The next test was a magic power assessment, and Misha surprised everyone with how high her magic power was. But once again, Anos beat everyone, as his magic power was so potent that it destroyed the measuring crystal. Misha commented that she'd never seen anything like it before. Then, they underwent an aptitude test, which evaluated how they measured up against the Demon King of Tyranny. Afterward, Misha and Anos met up at the school's entrance, and he teleported them to his home for dinner. His idiotic parents were excited that he brought home a girl and decided to throw a feast. Later on, as he walked Misha back home, they were suddenly attacked by a mysterious man who introduced himself as Zepes' older brother, Demon Lord Leorgi Indu. Leorgi then killed Zepes in front of them and said they'd be next. Anos dismissed his threat, which only made Leorgi angry. However, despite Leorgi's best efforts, Anos deflected all his attacks. Then he resurrected Zepes as a zombie who attacked his brother for killing him. Anos instructed Leorgi to call out Zepes' name and use their familial bond to heal him, but it failed, and they both killed each other. Disappointed at how flimsy their bond was, Anos resurrected Zepes and Leorgi and commented that his brethren had weakened significantly over the last 2,000 years. Then he instructed them to face him again when they were stronger. Annoyed, Leorgi asked who he was, and as everyone stared in anticipation of his answer, Anos stated that he was the true Demon King of Tyranny, Anos Voldigord. In the mythical age, the hero canon refused to accept the Demon King Anos Voldigord's offer for peace. Anos nevertheless told him that the war could only end if demons or humans were completely eradicated. He added that even if the demons were wiped out, humans would just make new enemies. Still, the hero insisted that he chose to believe in human kindness, and so Anos asked him to believe in that of those demons. Anx revealed that he planned on isolating all the species from one another, thus snuffing out the spark for war. He further added that the process would mean he wouldn't be reincarnated until 2,000 years in the future, and canon agreed to his plan. After executing the plan, Anos woke up as a baby 2,000 years in the future and introduced himself to his parents, which caused them to pee their pants. Anos and Misha soon resumed their studies at the Demon King Academy. Anos discovered from Misha that his real name had been forgotten over the last 2,000 years, while the wrong one was passed down. Misha also informed him that the closer a person's mindset and emotions were to the founding ancestor, the greater their aptitude for becoming a demon lord, and the closest person to achieving that was a blonde brat who walked into the class. During the lecture, Anos volunteered to be a group leader. Still, the teacher refused on the grounds that he was a hybrid. Still, Anos insisted that he would prove that hybrids were not inferior to demon royalty, and the teacher agreed on the grounds that he would drop out if he failed. Upon agreeing to this condition, Anos fixed a flaw in the school's year-old spell. Then the sexy blonde girl introduced herself as the Witch of Destruction, Sasha Necron, Misha's elder sister. After their discussion, Anos declared his candidacy as group leader. After class, Sasha told Anos that they should use the team competition exam as a duel in which the loser would have to do whatever the winner said, and he agreed. A week later, they made their agreement binding, and the exam began. Anos easily destroyed Sasha's castle with a single attack. Still, Sasha made a last-ditch attempt to destroy him using the combined power of her team, but Anos easily deflected the attack. With Sasha and her team defeated, she had no choice but to join Anos's team. After the battle, Anos rizzed up Sasha and got her legs shaking. Then he took her home with Misha to meet his parents. They had dinner, after which Anos walked both girls back home. As they stood at the entrance of their home, Sasha asked if Anos could change fate, and he cockily replied that he would destroy it. Then she grabbed him and kissed him. The next day at school, Misha asked Anos what she should give Sasha as a birthday gift. Just then, Sasha arrived and sat next to them. She informed Anos that her former teammate wanted to join his team, but he refused. This led to her telling him about the school rules regarding the number of team members required to participate in certain activities. Just then, the teacher informed them that one of the 7 Elder Demon Emperors would be giving a special lecture on great magic. A confused Anos asked who the 7 Elder Demon Emperors were. Sasha replied that they were the first demon clan to be created by the founding ancestor. She further added that the 7 Elder Demon Emperors created the Demon Academy to develop future demon lords. At this point, Anos soliloquized that the older Demon Emperor's stewardship was too sloppy, and they ought to at least know about him. Just then, Lord Ivis walked into the classroom, and Anos greeted him like they were Gon and Killua. This caused everyone in the room to freak out, but Ivis said it was fine. Then he said he had lost his memories from 2,000 years ago, and only remembered his master. So Anos said he'd make him remember and grabbed his head, which sent everyone in the room into a panic. However, after a few seconds of staring into Ivis's mind, Anos muttered that he understood. Ivis then began his lecture about fusion magic, while Anos and Sasha discussed it. After the class, Anos and Ivis discussed their exchange during the lecture, and Anos remarked that although he successfully restored Ivis's memories, the past itself had been tampered with. Ivis then said he'd stay neutral until he found out more about what was going on, and left. Later on, Anos met up with Misha, and they overheard Sasha's old team complaining to her that Anos wouldn't allow them to join his team. Sasha put them in their place, then left with Anos and Misha. After that, the 3 of them participated in the dungeon exam, which would qualify them to take a place on the Demon Palace Delsgade. As the exam commenced, Anos informed his teammates that it was his castle, and they would be going to the lowest level to retrieve a hidden scepter, which would give them the perfect score. They soon arrived at 2 gigantic doors leading to the altar. Anos pushed open the doors with his brute strength, and they found the scepter. He also showed Misha a hidden room filled with jewelry, where she could pick out a gift for Sasha. Misha picked out a red coat and handed it over to Sasha, while Anos left the room for her to change. Upon returning to the room, he found Misha lying dead on the floor, while Sasha stood over her body, covered in blood. Sasha then told Anos that she had deceived him so she could take the exam first, and that she would never want to be friends with Misha. Anos stood unsurprised and said Sasha's betrayal was too tame. Sasha revoked their contract and said Misha's only purpose was to be used by her and be dumped. She then attempted to flee while casting a spell to kill Misha, but Anos easily countered both. Then he revealed that he had already healed Misha and asked Sasha to admit how she really felt. However, Misha asked Anos not to harm Sasha, and she managed to escape. Then he asked Misha to tell him about herself. Meanwhile, Sasha watched a countdown as she flew out of the castle and stated that she would make it no matter what. Meanwhile, Misha revealed that she would disappear on her 15th birthday. She further added that Misha Necron never actually existed in the first place. Upon hearing Misha's confession, Anos realized that Misha was originally Sasha. He stated that Sasha was only able to break the contract she made with Misha because they were the same. Misha then revealed that Ivis gave her a part of Sasha's soul as a fetus, and she wasn't supposed to exist. She then told Anos that her fate was set in stone, and that she was glad to have met him. Anos vowed to make her wish come true after they stopped Sasha. They teleported to Sasha's location, and Misha asked if she hated her. Still, Sasha stated that she would only answer after having a duel with Anos. He agreed, and she then created 2 magic circles and told him to control one. However, Anos easily controlled both. Sasha then revealed that she wanted Misha to reject her and become the original while she died in her place. However, Misha refused and instead stated that she loved Sasha, while also informing Anos that she had made up with Sasha and so had no regrets. Anos then informed the girls that he would save them both by changing the past. However, just as he was about to send the girls back in time to fix their souls, Ivis jumped into the room and stabbed Anos. Then he stated that the girls were to become the vessel for the founding ancestor. Anos easily pulled out the sword and smashed Ivis into a wall before sending the girls back in time. His spell was disrupted by the guardian god of time, Hugo Laraviaz, who stated that Anos must be punished for disrupting the flow of time. Hugo then empowered Ivis to stop Anos. Still, Anos proved more powerful than even the gods and defeated Ivis. Then he told Sasha and Misha that all they had to do was believe in him and he would obliterate every injustice that stood before them. The girls then said they believed in him, and with that, he sent them back in time and fixed their souls while Ivis watched in shock as his plan was destroyed. With the girls out of the way, Anos then summoned his magic sword of destruction, Venuznor, and obliterated Ivis while stating that he was the Demon King. Afterward, he resurrected Ivis and gave him his true memories, while explaining to him that someone working with the false Demon King, Anos Dilhavia, had taken control of his body. Anos then stated that he would let everyone believe Ivis was dead. Still, they instructed him to investigate what was going on. Just then, the girls returned, and Anos wished them a happy birthday. Anos watched as his army was decimated by the great spirit of water, Lignon. He then promised to reward Shin with anything he wished if he successfully beat the spirit with a single blow. Shin sliced through the monster in a cool action sequence and asked Anos to permit him to be reincarnated. Anos granted him his wish, and just then, they spotted the hero, Cannon. Anos remarked that no matter how many times he killed him, Cannon always came back to life. Then they faced off against each other. Back in the present, the class teacher announced that a new student would be joining them. She further added that the scepter Anos's team recovered during the dungeon exam was missing, so they scored 70. This resulted in an argument within the class, with Misa arguing that the teacher was punishing them because they were hybrids. Anos interrupted the discussion and stated that he would reveal the culprit. Then I ripped the scepter out of a funny-looking student and handed it over to the teacher. After the class, Misa approached Anos and informed him that she believed he was the Demon King of Tyranny. Then she invited him and the girls to join a Unitarian meeting, where a bunch of Anos fangirls greeted them. Misa also revealed that she was half spirit, half demon, and told them that she had never met her father but received a magic sword from him on her 10th birthday. Then the fangirls pleaded with Anos to allow them to join his team. He replied, saying that they should prove their resolve. The next day, the Masters of Magic Swords, Gaios Anzem and Idol Anzeo, arrive at the school to prepare the students for an upcoming magic sword tournament. They challenged them to pull out swords from the ground, but no one could. However, Anos easily pulled out a sword, to everyone's surprise, and soon after, the transfer student also pulled out a sword. Then, they both beat the swordmasters. Later on, the transfer student introduced himself to Anos as Lei Glanzudli and asked to join his team. Anos instead told Lei and the fangirls to work together and challenge him, adding that if they acquit themselves accordingly, he will allow them to become his subordinates. On the day of the team competition exam, Lei and Anos faced each other while Sasha and Misha dealt with the fangirls. The fangirls created a giant golem, which led to a Power Ranger-like battle with Misha destroying the golem with a giant cannon. However, Misha used the destruction of the golem to sneak up on Sasha. Anos and Lei continued to battle intensely in the distance. At the same time, Sasha and Misha combined their powers to defeat Misa and the girls. Anos continued to battle against Lei using a branch, as they both enjoyed being able to flex their power. Ultimately, Anos won, but Lei remarked that he felt like they had met before. Upon hearing this, Anos informed him that they had met 2,000 years ago and said he was the Demon King of Tyranny. Then Lei vowed to beat him next time, and Anos laughed. His mother smothered him and praised him for winning yet another party, while his friends watched in shock. Misa then asked if it was weird that she was present because she wasn't a part of Team Anos. However, Anos informed her that she was his girl toy, and he wanted to see her full potential. Later, Anos's parents told his friends the story of his birth and how proud they were of him. Meanwhile, Lei apologized to Misa for placing his emotions above their team during the battle, which led to their loss. However, Misa assured him that it was fine and thanked him for speaking to her like an equal, not a hybrid. Their conversation turned dark when Lei informed her that half demons and half spirits typically die young. He, however, stated that she was special and walked away. The next day, the teacher announced that both Anos and Lei qualified for the Magic Sword tournament. After that class, Misa asked Anos if he would like to meet Sir Melheis Boran of the 7 Elder Demon Emperors, and he agreed. Melheis immediately teared up once he saw Anos and bowed. He informed him that he had been waiting for his resurrection, but Anos was surprised that he remembered him. However, Melheis clarified that, like Ibis, his memories were also wiped, but his source never forgot about Anos. Melheis informed Anos that shortly after his death, he found himself in the Forest of Great Spirits, away from his memories. He added that it took him 100 years before he could finally return to Dilhadi. Melheis also warned Anos not to participate Magic Sword tournament because the royalists were planning on making him fall so as to crush the hope he inspired in the Unitarians. Later on, Anos and Misha went on an excursion to a workshop where she created magic models of their dinners as a present for Sasha. The Riz Lord Anos then created a replica of the city for Misha and gave it to her in the form of a ring. Then they headed to a diner where Ibis met up with them and informed Anos about Melheis's movements as well as the existence of a mystery figure who was leading the Unitarians. Ibis also told Anos about another mystery individual who was affiliated with a clinic built by Demon Lord Elio of Midhaza. After that, Anos and Misha visited Lognorth Magic Clinic, where they encountered Lei on his way to visit his sick mother. Anos informed Lei that he might not take part in the Magic Sword tournament, and Lei said they'd settle things some other time. On the day of the tournament, Ibis informed Anos that Melheis had nothing to do with the Magic Sword tournament. Still, Gaios and Idor of the 7 Elder Demon Emperors were plotting behind the scenes to disgrace him. He also told Anos that Lei's mother was suffering from spirit disease. On the tournament grounds, Kroot Luderwell was introduced as Anos's opponent. However, Anos refused to walk out after his name was called. Just then, his father arrived with a sword, which he wanted him to compete with. After seeing the efforts his parents went through to support him, Anos decided to compete in the tournament. He jumped into the arena and told Kroot that he'd finish him off in 1 minute as atonement for wasting his time. Anos easily avoided all of Kroot's attacks as his fangirls cheered him on from the bleachers. Then he turned the guy into his punching bag and rendered him immobile with several blows using his sword. Meanwhile, Miss Amelia watched in rage from the bleachers as Anos walked off stage, leaving her brother lying bloodied on the arena floor. After winning his match, Lei met with Anos and Misa backstage and informed them that he was now a royalist, so they could no longer be friends. He also told Anos that he would kill him during their match, and the two got into a physical altercation, but Misa asked them to stop. Afterward, Lei left the room, and Anos informed Misa that he suspected that Lei was being held hostage. Day 1 of the tournament ended with Lei and Anos advancing to the finals. Later on, Anos and his pet Misa paid a visit to Lei's mom, Shelia, at the clinic. Upon seeing her, Anos discovered that she was dying of old age as a result of being half demon and half spirit. Just then, Sheila woke up and told them that the cost of her treatment was Lei's servitude to the royalists. She also gave them information about her disease and begged Anos to free her son. Anos offered to heal her by linking her source to Misa's. While Anos was healing Sheila, his mother and fangirls got attacked by Miss Amelia. She stated that a mere hybrid like Anos disgraced her family and she wouldn't forgive him. The fangirls tried blocking her attacks long enough for Anos' mother to escape with his sword. Still, Miss Amelia was too powerful for them. However, they refused to give up despite the beating she gave them, and just before Amelia could kill his mother, Anos appeared and turned her into his bitch. He healed his mother and harem before going back to Amelia. Anos then killed her and resurrected her as a hybrid so she could get a new perspective on life. Back at the clinic, Lei walked in on Misa healing his mother and stopped her. However, his mother still passed away. And the next day, his match with Anos began. Anos and Lei's match began with the announcement of special rules, which involved both contestants wearing bracelets that, if destroyed, counted as a loss. A mysterious voice informed Anos that his bracelet would exacerbate Shelia's spirit disease and extinguish her the moment his magic power was depleted. Furthermore, it added that if he beat Lei, then his source would be wiped out by the contractual magic sword, and with that, the match commenced. Lei conceded after they began their fight, and the contract began killing him. He told Anos that there was no reason for them both to die. However, he'd go all out to beat him. Impressed by his guts, Anos accepted his terms, and they began fighting all out. However, the fight ended with Anos killing Lei, after which the one who implanted the contractual magic sword inside Lei revealed himself to be Melhais. Melhais trapped Anos inside a dimensional prison, and Gaius and Idor soon joined them. The three started bragging about outmatching Anos when Gaius and Idor were suddenly cut down. Anos then revealed that Lei was still alive and he had outsmarted them. Still, Melhais refused to surrender. Instead, he opened a portal that contained Shelia, his hostage, and he offered to heal her if they swore allegiance to the royalist. Anos refused his offer, while Lei ran into the portal to save his mother. Soon after, Melhais and Anor got into a battle, but being a coward, Melhais ran into an absolute space where no one but him could enter. Then he attacked Lei and his mother, causing Anos to further extend his magic power, defending himself and them. Just as they were about to be destroyed, Shelia sacrificed herself to become a sword for Lei, which he used to destroy Melhais's attacks. Lei also slashed through the absolute space, which allowed Avos to enter and cut Melhais in half. Then Anos broke the mind control device embedded in Melhais and freed Gaius and Idor as well. Things returned to normal at the arena as everyone noticed that Anos had defeated Lei. Then, Anos healed Lei and resurrected his mother. He explained that he spread Sheila's tradition across the kingdom, which allowed her source to heal, thus making it easy for him to revive her. After the battle, Anos was named the winner and presented with his award by Sasha, who also kissed him to the surprise of their friends. The heroes Kanan and Anos faced each other at the entrance to the capital, Gyrodite. Anos informed Kanan that he just wanted to speak with him about ending the war. However, they were interrupted by Jirga, who attacked Anos and stated that there'd be no peace till he was dead. Anos wounded Jirga with one blow, told Kanan to come to his castle, Delsgade, if he was interested in peace, and left. Jirga told Kanan not to settle for peace with Anos. Then he vowed never to forgive Anos for killing his wife and promised to wipe out the demon race, no matter the cost. In the present day, a jealous Sasha questioned why Anos and Misha were walking to class together. Misha told her that they had gone to Anos' house for lunch. They were soon joined by Lei and Misa, then headed to class together. In class, they were introduced to Miss Amelia's replacement, a new teacher named Menu Historia. She informed them that they would be going to the human realm for an inter-academy class. Then she briefly explained facts about the human heroes to them. After the class, Anos and his team headed out to train in preparation for their visit to the human world. Later on, Anos met with Melhais, who informed him that Gaius and Idor had successfully been resurrected. He added that their sources were indeed taken over by someone 2,000 years ago. This news caused Anos to ask why the Melhais source wasn't taken over, but they couldn't come to a valid conclusion. Melhais, however, cautioned Anos to be careful at the inter-academy classes because he suspected that they were up to something. Afterward, Anos took Lei to his palace and presented him with a sword. The next day, while the other students walked to the human dimension, Anos teleported his team straight to the city. Then Anos and Sasha explored the city, while the rest sorted out their lodgings. Anos ripped the pants off Sasha as they explored, and they soon arrived at the Hero Academy. Eleanor Bianca, a third-year student at the Hero Academy, greeted them. Sasha and Bianca soon got into an argument about their different beliefs regarding whether it was Kenan or Anos who built the four walls dividing the world. Anos interrupted the discussion and asked Bianca if she knew the name of the Demon King of Tyranny. To his disappointment, she replied, Avos de Hevia. Then he asked Bianca about the elite class of reincarnated heroes, and she replied saying he must be referring to Jirga Kanan. Bianca further added that Kanan had 4 reincarnations. This information surprised Anos because Kanan was typically able to resurrect using his 7 sources. Then he told Misa that each one of Kanan's sources must have reincarnated into different bodies. As he was asking Bianca why Kanan's reincarnations hadn't disputed the country's flawed history since they possessed Kanan's memories, a strange boy walked into the room. He introduced himself as the reincarnation of hero Kanan's first heart and a member of the elite class, Jirga Kanan, Ledriano Kanan Azashen. He was joined by Laus Kanon Gildor, who stated that he was another reincarnation of Kanan. However, Anos said he didn't believe that they were Kanan's reincarnation because he only had one true source. Laus attempted to punch Anos but got his ass handed to him, while Ledriano apologized for his rudeness. As Anos and Sasha took their leave, Blanca informed Anos that the version of Kanan he once knew was long gone. She then added that a human murdered Kanan. At the Hero Academy, a group of third-year royals led by Revist Aini accused Anos and his team of cheating to arrive early. However, he told them not to feel bad since they made it in 2 days. Still, Revist said he did not recognize Anos as the Demon King of Tyranny and walked away. Later, Diego Canoni Jessica, the headmaster of Hero Academy, welcomed the Demon Academy students. He asked students from both schools to demonstrate magic. Ledriano and Rivest were chosen to represent their schools. However, Rivest's spells failed to work during his presentation. The humans laughed as he struggled until Anos revealed that Ledriano had cast a spell that sealed the magic cast by a demon. Then he cancelled out their spell and showcased his power, which left them dumbfounded. The class ended in a riot as humans and demons got into an argument. Later on, Ivis gave Anos a progress report on his investigations and warned him that the humans were plotting to kill him. Just then, Sasha and Misha called him out for a walk through town. During their walkthrough, he spotted Lei and Misa having a romantic moment, which ended with him putting a seashell necklace around her neck. The next day, Anos told his team a story about Misa's necklace, which involved two human lovers who, in the face of death, broke a holy seashell in half to create two necklaces. They each wore one, so they could be reunited in their next lives. Thus, it became customary to make a single necklace out of two and give it to one's lover. Upon hearing that Lei was the one who gave Misa the necklace, the fangirls started asking that they get married. Once they all arrived at Lake Symeo, Anos noticed that Eleanor was missing. Then their teachers announced it was time for the inter-academy exams, which would involve each school using their form of troop magic. The humans sent out their elite team, while Miss Manu chose Rivest's team to represent them. As they watched the battle, Miss Manu told Anos about Rivest's growth as a student. The heroes easily got the upper hand, causing Sasha to suspect foul play. Then Anos showed Miss Manu that the humans had mixed holy water with lake water, which gave humans magic power, but was toxic to demons. She complained that it was against the rules, but the battle continued. The heroes began sucking away the demons' magic power, destroying their castle and leaving them to die despite Miss Manu's protest. Anos then rescued all the demon kids. However, Rivest was severely hurt, and because holy magic had wounded him, Miss Manu's healing magic wasn't effective on him, so Anos offered to heal him, while Rivest showed them the badge that the heroes had used to hide the holy water. Rivest then stated that he hated Anos, but pleaded with him to do something, after which Anos healed him. After that, Anos and his team asked the heroes for a second round. Lei called them out for using holy water, and the heroes laughed and said that they should drain the lake if they could. Then Anos made a boss move and completely drained their lake, which caused the human teacher to scream his pants off. With that, round 2 of the inter-academy exams began. The second round of the inter-academy exams began with Anos sending a fireball at the heroes' base, which a mysterious newcomer blocked. Then, the heroes constructed a De Igelia barrier, which reduced their enemies' power while enhancing theirs. In a bid to counter the effects of the barrier, Anos teleported himself and Misha inside the barrier so she could create a castle. However, the heroes soon appeared and told Anos that they would stop Misha from completing it. Anos smiled and asked for the newcomer's name. Still, Ledriano said that she couldn't speak and introduced her as the reincarnation of Hero Canon's fourth source, Zecia Canoni Jessica. He also told Anos that the sword she wielded was the Holy Sword of Light and Hail, which would split their unfinished castle in a single blow. The heroes then unleashed various anti-demon spells on Anos, but he swatted them away like troublesome bees. Meanwhile, Misha completed building the castle, thus allowing their other team members to enter the barrier. An all-out battle ensued as Anos' teammates mopped the floor with the heroes, leaving Anos to face Ledriano and Zecia. Seeing as they were getting their ass beat, Ledriano and Zecia used the Ask spell to get a power boost from the people of Gyrodite. However, to their surprise, Anos also used the spell to get a power boost from his 8 fangirls. With his cheer squad cheering him on, Anos easily beat Ledriano and Zecia. Then suddenly, Anos and his cheer squad could hear a brainwashing spell, which urged them to kill Anos. Now deranged, Ledriano ordered Zecia to perform a source spell that would cause her to self-detonate. Despite his best efforts, Anos was able to stop her from continuously self-detonating. But just then he received a message from Eleanor instructed him to come to the shrine, so he sent Misha in his place while he held Zecia back. At the shrine, Misha encountered the Human Academy teacher Diego, who had completely lost his mind. Diego stabbed her continuously, like she was steak, while yelling that he'd never forgive demons. However, Anos appeared and pushed him away before he could destroy Misha's source. Then he began torturing Diego for answers and revealed his inner nature as a horrifying beast. Diego then cast a gavel spell on his students so they'd explode their source, but Anos froze the spell and killed him. Afterward, Anos went into the shrine, where he found Eleanor floating in a glowing orb. He asked who she was, and Eleanor replied that she was magic. Eleanor explained to Anos that she was created with a taboo magic spell that changes humans into magic. This made Anos understand why the barrier remained standing, although he blasted the heroes away, and that Eleanor was responsible for healing their wounds. Eleanor then asked Anos to free her from the orb so she could reverse the gavel spell that Diego cast on Jurga Cannon before everyone's source exploded. Once free, Eleanor dropped the barrier and disabled Diego's spell. Then she told Anos about the human source clones she created, which included Zaisha. So there was always somebody to replace them, even if they were killed. Her revelation stunned Anos, who called it madness. Eleanor replied that the program was implemented 2,000 years ago by a commander who led the subjugation army with the hero cannon named Jurga. She further added that Jurga twisted the spell Ask to influence those using it with his thirst for revenge. Then Eleanor showed Anos a recording of Cannon opposing the cloning program after the Demon King of Tyranny sacrificed himself for peace. However, Jurga had Cannon killed, and he never reincarnated. Anos then asked her about the two spells Jurga created, and she explained that Ask absorbed all of Jurga's hatred, while her role was to create source codes and nothing more. Then she asked Anos to destroy her because she had just been used to killing for the last 2,000 years. Eleanor continued saying that if her creations could speak, they would hate her. Just then, a creepy-looking clone started saying Mama like a newborn calf. Then suddenly they all turned to Anos and pleaded that he save Mama. The creep show brought Eleanor to tears, while Anos agreed to grant her wish. They were suddenly interrupted by the ghost of Diego, and Eleanor explained to Anos that as long as she was around, Diego would be regenerated endlessly, like in a low-budget sci-fi movie. Suddenly, 3 of the 7 Elder Demon Emperors, Medoin Garza, Zoro Angata, and Eldora Zaya, along with a masked man, broke into the castle and stole Cannon's sword. They killed Diego and his guards before approaching Anos. The masked stranger claimed to be Avos Dilhavia, the Demon King of Tyranny. Then he told Anos that he would bring about the true world of demons before disappearing along with his companions. A few days later, Diego announced to the public that demons had stolen Azeshion's guardian god, Thunder God Sword Evans Mana. He added that the Demon King of Tyranny had been revived after 1,000 years and was planning to lead the demon army against the humans, but Diego assured the human public that their demon subjugation army would protect them and declared war. Just then, Eldora, Medoin, and Zoro sent a broadcast introducing their lord, Avos Dilhavia. Avos then stated that humanity hadn't changed over the last 2,000 years, and they continued to plan to annihilate him, so he would annihilate the humans. Meanwhile, Ivus and the Elder Demon Lords loyal to Avos reported to him and gave him a situation report. They informed him that the human and demon armies had mobilized and were heading to war. Upon hearing their report, Avos stated that they didn't need to get involved, as it was the war he left unfinished. However, the older demon lords insisted that they would join him. His teammates also said that they would assist him using the power of friendship. Later on, Anos sent his friends to stop Avos' forces from reaching the human side. He also sent the older demon lords to stop their counterparts from siding with Avos while he went to find Avos in his castle. Ivus and the rest successfully subdued the rogue older demon lords, while Anos didn't find Avos in his castle. He eventually located him at the entrance to the human side, and their battle began. Once they moved away from each other, Anos casually told Avos that it had been 2,000 years since they last met and called him Hero Cannon. He also asked if he had come to that spot earlier to fulfill his promise while holding up half of a seashell necklace. After this, Avos removed his headpiece to reveal the dreamy blue eyes of the hero Cannon. Anos asked Cannon what happened 2,000 years ago, and Cannon replied that humans were weak. He told Anos about his murder by Jurga's followers and their plot to annihilate Anos 2,000 years later. So he used his sword, Evans Mana, to rectify their mistake by nullifying Avos' destiny to be reincarnated as the Demon King of Tyranny. His explanation helped Anos understand why everyone forgot his name. Cannon added that over time, destiny continued to be rewritten until the bogus Demon King Avos Dilhavia was born. Then Anos interjected that Cannon planned to be slain by the humans as Avos. Cannon explained that if humans slay Avos, then there will finally be lasting peace. Anos realized that he couldn't sway Cannon to change his mind, so they both got ready to battle so they could save each other. As their fight raged on, Anos slowly destroyed 6 of Cannon's 7 sources. Still, Cannon refused to surrender until he could save Anos, and he was able to destroy his source. As Anos started to fade away, he donned the outfit and helm of Avos Dilhavia, while also dropping the veil that blocked them from the public's view. Both sides stood in shock as they saw the hero Cannon standing with his sword stuck in Avos' chest. Then things turned into a soap opera as Avos told his forces to retreat and not seek revenge on humans until the day he was resurrected again. He ordered them to live, while Cannon soliloquized that Anos was his one and only hero before ripping Anos's source out. Although the demon army began to retreat, Diego started yelling like a maniac. He ordered the humans to kill the demons. He further instructed his 10,000 Xisha troops to self-destruct and annihilate the demon race. However, Eleanor teleported to the battlefront and tried to get him to stand down, but he refused. As he continued to yell, the curse of Jurga took over his body and manifested as an ask spell that took the form of Jurga himself. Jurga told Cannon that he was disappointed that a hero like him would reincarnate himself as a filthy demon. Cannon replied that he couldn't believe Jurga renounced his humanity to become magic, whose only purpose was to wipe out demons. Then he attempted to destroy Jurga with his sword, but it didn't work because Jurga's body had become true sacred magic. Jurga told Cannon that he was now the demon judgment spell Jurga. Just then, Misha and Sasha told Jurga that they would not be judged by him and believed Anos would return. Ivis instructed the girls to reveal the Necron family's secret technique. With that, they returned to their proper form in which both of them were unified. Then they, along with Lei and Misa, still, it didn't work, and the clones detonated. However, to Jurga's surprise, Anos suddenly appeared and stopped the detonation. Anos explained that he used Cannon's attack as the origin to revive his source. Still, Jurga laughed maniacally and said he'd kill Anos himself. Then he drained the hope out of every human to boost his power and got a fancy suit of armor. Seeing Jurga's new outfit, Cannon and Anos decided to combine forces to take him down. This resulted in an epic showdown as Jurga swatted away their attacks, while causing so much destruction that would make even Godzilla jealous. Anos then activated his version of Ask while ordering his fan union to sing. They quickly got into position and burst out a Grammy-worthy song performance as the battle got even more intense. Despite pleas from Eleanor, the demon army refused to leave the battlefield in loyalty to Anos, whom they realized was their true king. Elsewhere, Saha and Misa create a castle as demons and humans join hands in evacuating the battleground. Together, Cannon and Avos finally destroyed Jurga, and as he faded away, he found peace with his wife and son. Sasha and Misha unbounded and rushed to Avos as they cried over almost losing him. Then Anos turned Eleanor into his magic to prevent her from getting abused again. After things calmed down, Avios returned home with his friends, and his parents got excited that he had a new bride.